to be here today. I'm very happy to see all of you, although I cannot see all of you because there's so many of you. And to talk about the Chittagong Hill Tracts and about Chakmas, not only the Chittagong Hill Tracts. I'm happy to be here, but I have to disappoint you because I have not, as a foreigner, I have not been able to visit the Chittagong Hill Tracts for many years. I've not been able to do research there. So I have been following developments from afar. And I'm sure that all of you know much more about the present situation than I do. So I'm really interested in hearing what you know rather than telling you what I know. And I also have a historical interest in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. So I'm not really into politics today, but I'm trying to understand the longer term processes that are going on. So because I couldn't go to the hill tracts, I moved east and became very interested in Mizoram, where of course there are also Chakmas. I wrote a paper about Mizo involvement in the Mizo sort of refuge in the Chittagong Hill Tracts in the 1960s to 1980s, and what happened to them during the 71 war in Bangladesh, and they were very much at loggerheads with the Chakmas at that time. So there was sort of all kinds of interesting tensions going on that have now disappeared. So basically, I've been very impressed by what Chakmas themselves have started writing about their society, especially young Chakma scholars in the diaspora outside of Bangladesh. So I think there's a great future for academic work on the Chittagong Hill Tracts and Chakmas going on. So that's good. There's also the Chittagong Hill Tracts Commission, which is an international human rights commission monitoring what's going on in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. It was a very active campaign about the Chittagong Hill Tracts up to 1997 when the peace accord was signed. After that, that campaign more or less collapsed because different groups in the Chittagong Hill Tracts were fighting each other, and the campaigners, international campaigners, didn't want to take sides. But it's still going on, and it's on a sort of a lower level. And of course, within Bangladesh, the Chittagong Hill Tracts were, when I wrote this first article in the 1990s, I couldn't talk about it with my Bengali friends in Bangladesh because they denied that anything was going on. They didn't know what was going on. It was not a topic. So I thought, as a foreigner, I can write about this. And so that's why I wrote that article. Today, it's possible to talk about the Chittagong Hill Tracts in Bangladesh. So it's come up as a topic of public discourse. And of course, you have now the Chittagong Hill Tract ministry in Bangladesh. So the government sort of interferes in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, not only in a military way, but also very much in a bureaucratic way. And another thing that, of course, continues is that the Chittagong Hill Tracts are highly militarized. The peace accord has not been fulfilled. Of course, the big land question has never been resolved and is unlikely to be resolved. Tensions between Bengali settlers and local people continue, although there have been two very interesting recent studies about their relation, field studies by Bangladeshi scholars who also found out how, say, Chakma villages and Bengali villages next door are accommodating, how you have to live with each other in some way. So all kinds of ways that people try to make livelihoods possible. So it's a very complicated story as far as I understand. Another thing that's very interesting is that there's today much stronger connections between the people in the Chidimon tracts and other minorities in Bangladesh. So there are many other minority groups in the plains of Bangladesh, and there's now much more communication and joint action for human rights, for civil rights, and especially for being registered in the constitution. A bit like the Indian case. Of course, in Bangladesh, minorities are not legally acknowledged, and that is very different from here. So when you look at Chakmas in Bangladesh, you see a tension between emphasizing Chakmaness and becoming more Bengali. So, and also between the generations. So there are many young Chakmas who think there's no future in being a Chakma. It's much better to become sort of part of Bengal, Bangladeshi society and make a career there. Others think, no, we have to really emphasize our own identity. That's the way forward. So there's a tension between Chakmas, and probably here in Tripura as well. It would be interesting to talk about that. Another thing that Chakmas are better known in the rest of Bangladesh, in public discourse. And I noticed that earlier they were really seen as backward tribals, terrorists, and anti-Bangladesh, and very much in a folkloric sort of way, where when you talk about Chakmas, Bengalis would think about dancing people in colorful costumes, or dangerous terrorists with guns. Today there's much more understanding of the broader sort of cultural universe in which Chakmas live, and one of the expressions of that is that the Chakma painter, Kunjaban Chakma, got a very high Bangladeshi award for her work. So she's sort of seen as a new aspect of Chakma presence in the country. Maybe the last thing to say is that I'm very interested to hear more about the attempts to introduce the Chakma as a way of communication. I know this started earlier in India, and so in Mizoram the Chakmas was reintroduced with some success, I think. I don't know about Tripura. In the Chidimon Hill tracts, I have the impression that it's not very well developed, and so I would love to know more about that. So with that, I would like to end and hope you can give me lots of information. Thank you.